There's a moment every parentified child remembers, even if they can't name it. A look, a silence, a night where the adult in the room stopped acting like one. And somewhere in that moment, a child made a decision they were never equipped to make. Someone has to hold this together. It might as well be me. That decision doesn't just shape behavior, it creates a second self. Psychologists sometimes call it the inner child, but that phrase gets thrown around so casually now that most people miss what it actually means. The inner child isn't a metaphor. It isn't a poster on a therapist's wall. It's the part of your psyche that got frozen at the exact age the overwhelm became too much to process. It didn't get to finish growing up. It got left behind, still holding the fear, the confusion, the desperate need for someone to say, "You're safe now," and nobody ever came back for it. So today isn't really about the child you were. It's about the child that's still in there, still running parts of your adult life without your permission. Let's start with what actually happens developmentally. When a child is forced into an adult role, regulating a parent's emotions, managing a household's peace, becoming the family's emotional shock absorber. The technical term is parentification. But underneath that clinical word is something simpler and sadder. A child learns that their own needs are a liability. So they split. One part of them keeps functioning, performing, achieving, appearing fine. The other part, the inner child, gets pushed underground because there was never room for it to be seen. This split is the whole story. The competent adult you became on the outside was built directly on top of the child you weren't allowed to be on the inside. And that inner child doesn't disappear just because you've outgrown the house you grew up in. It waits. It shows up in the moments you least expect, when someone is kind to you and you don't know what to do with it, when rest feels like guilt, when you're loved well and some part of you keeps checking for the catch. That's the inner child talking. Not metaphorically, functionally. Neuroscience backs this up. The nervous system doesn't file trauma by date. It files it by unresolved threat. So when your boss raises their voice, or your partner goes quiet, or you're criticized in a way that stings more than it should, you're not only reacting as the adult you are now. You're reacting as the 7-year-old who first learned that silence from a parent meant danger was coming. This is why the inner child matters so much. It's not a self-help buzzword. It's the operating system running underneath your adult decisions. And if you don't know it's there, you'll spend your whole life mistaking its fear for your own judgment. Here's what that looks like in practice. Your inner child learned that love had to be earned through usefulness. So your adult self overachieves, overgives, overexplains, terrified that if you ever stop being useful, you'll stop being wanted. Your inner child learned that needing things led to disappointment, so your adult self becomes hyper-independent, refusing help even when it's offered freely, because dependency once meant vulnerability, and vulnerability once meant getting hurt. Your inner child learned that calm was often the silence before something broke, so your adult self can't fully relax even in genuinely safe moments. Peace feels unfamiliar, suspicious even, like it's a setup. None of this is a character flaw. It's a child's best attempt at survival, still running on autopilot decades later. And here's the part that's easy to miss. The inner child isn't just the source of your wounds. It's also the source of everything that hasn't been ruined yet. Your instinct for play, your capacity for wonder, your ability to feel joy without needing to justify it. When people talk about reconnecting with their inner child, this is really what they mean. Not just soothing old pain, but recovering the parts of you that never got permission to exist in the first place. So how do you actually find that child again? It starts with witnessing, not fixing. Most people try to skip straight to healing, new routines, new boundaries, new affirmations, without ever stopping to acknowledge what actually happened. But you cannot parent a child you refuse to see. The inner child doesn't need you to optimize it. It needs you to notice it. That means going back, gently, and asking the question no one asked you at the time, what did I need back then that I never got? Maybe the answer is, I needed someone to tell me it wasn't my job to fix this. Maybe it's, I needed permission to be upset without managing everyone else's reaction to my being upset. Maybe it's simply, I needed someone to ask how I was doing and mean it. Whatever the answer is, the healing isn't in changing the past. It's in becoming, finally, the adult that child needed and never had. Not a perfect one, just a present one. One who doesn't flinch away from the fear, the grief, or the anger that's been waiting this whole time to be felt instead of managed. This is slow work, and it isn't linear. There will be days the inner child feels loud, moments of unexpected tears, irrational fear, or a longing you can't quite explain. That's not regression. That's the frozen part of you finally thawing enough to be felt. Carl Jung put it simply, there is no coming to consciousness without pain because people will do almost anything to avoid facing their own inner world. Facing your inner child is exactly that kind of confrontation. Uncomfortable, necessary, and ultimately the only road back to wholeness. Because the truth is, you were never actually broken. You were a child who adapted brilliantly to an environment that asked too much of you. The strategies you built kept you safe then. They're not required anymore, and the child who built them is still in there, waiting, not for you to fix them, but simply to finally come home. You didn't get to have a childhood the first time, but the inner child doesn't need a time machine. It just needs you, and this time, you get to show up.